once I have that and it provides that output, I can simply call in by using the @ symbol, the next GPT. And so start imagining this at scale, being able to ask a question with one GPT, that @ symbol, call in the next one that does the next step, next step, next step. At that point, you're getting to a place where you can call 10 different specialists into a conversation in less than a minute.
Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Natalie Lambert. If you don't know who Natalie is, she is the founder of Gen Edge, a consultancy that helps marketers take advantage of generative AI through customized workshops, training, and consulting. She's formerly the global director of applied AI for marketing at Google. Natalie, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I'm really thrilled to be here.
I'm excited you're here. Today, Natalie and I are going to explore how to build an AI content team. And when I say AI content team, I mean a team of AI staff, for lack of better words, not real people. But before we get there, I want to hear your story. How in the world did you get into AI? I would love you to start wherever you want to start.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it starts with, I just have a wide marketing background. Was a Forrester analyst for many years, which I recognize isn't marketing, but it's a lot of those content skills. It's a lot of doing market research and writing reports and writing content. I then spent time at multiple startups where kind of opened the aperture on the different types of marketing tasks and activities people did. And then I spent time at Google, kind of going back to my core in content and market research. And it was having that breadth of content and capabilities under my belt that had me kind of wanting to do something new that wasn't quite as focused. And at the same time, there was this amazing opportunity at Google where they were looking for somebody to help figure out how marketers could be best in class using AI across all of the different activities that we did on a daily basis. And I very quickly raised my hand because I felt I had that large, broad look at what marketers do, and kind of studying AI and how we could apply it to these different activities. Felt right back in my Forrester analyst days of being research and doing market research. So I had an opportunity to work across Google, 7,000 employees, to figure out what were the best tools and best practices that marketers could be using to really improve their impact with AI.
When was that, by the way? What year was that you were?
That was 2022 and 2023.
Okay,
so
cool.
Really starting right after ChatGPT came out, and everyone was trying to figure out how to use it beyond creating songs, which is what I certainly did. And first, it was certainly my first ask of ChatGPT. But it was around that, and it was like, how do we do this? Let's figure out how to look at this across all of the, as I said, all the different tools. And it was just such an incredible opportunity that I felt I wanted to do this on a broader scale. So Google is an incredible company to work for. And they've got a lot of technologies and teams that can help bring this across the finish line for a lot of the teams. I felt not all organizations had those capabilities. And so the ability to kind of go out, start my own thing, and work with companies around the world to figure out how to bring AI to their teams was just really exciting in that moment. So that is when I decided to leave. September 2023 was my last day there, and my first day as an entrepreneur, helping companies do this at a large scale. So it's been an absolutely incredible journey.
So I want to ask a couple questions. What was it like to be in this role inside of Google? Were you just helping the marketers inside of Google? I mean, like help people understand like what it was like in the early days, without obviously disclosing anything. You're under NDA that you can't talk about. But I'm curious about what that must have been like for you, in the early days of the ChatGPT moment, if you will.
It was incredible because I could start anywhere. And I guess maybe to say it was incredible in that first few days, it's like, where do I start? It was too big. But I go back to what I knew, which was content, and really starting to play around with the technologies in that content arena. And I had so much fun doing it. I think the other advantage of taking on that type of role at a company like Google is that I could pick up the phone and call any vendor. I could call any company that I had read who was doing really interesting things and say, "Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm working on a program inside of Google to bring AI to marketers. Will you talk to me about what you've learned?" And everybody said yes. I definitely think that is a luxury that comes from having Google on your current business card, so to speak. But it was just this. It was an incredible opportunity. I think one of the things that were interesting that people don't always talk about is at that time, and actually we still see this today, but at that time, I definitely had the people who were the hand raisers who wanted to work with me on a project, and the other people who were, "I hope you fail" mentality, because
Right.
they saw
Yeah.
success as
A threat.
a threat, an inhibitor to their jobs. And I will tell you, it is the people who hoped I'd fail. And I know that I don't take it personally, but those were the folks I wanted to work with first, because I wanted to show them and experience for myself, at that point, where the limitations were, where were the strengths, and so how we could bring the benefits of human and AI together. It was great.
So that's so cool. So now you've been out on your own. It's 2025. So kind of bring us up to the present and share with us kind of the kinds of businesses you work with, the kinds of things that you do, just so people can wrap their heads around that.
Oh, it wide range. So I work with companies of all sizes and their marketing teams to say, how can you just bring AI into your practices all the time? So kind of put that in the training bucket of,
Mhm.
training sessions from 2 hours to a full day, where we start playing with these technologies across a wide variety of areas to say, like, where can we change the workflows within your organization for you to really get the benefit of these technologies? On kind of the smaller side, there are startups right now who haven't hired marketing. They have a blank slate in terms of what they can hire for right
Mhm.
now. They don't have kind of the legacy of the folks that are here and trying to learn. They get to kind of bring it in from scratch. And so really working with them on, what does the marketing team of the future look like, and what types of roles should they be bringing in, who would be best equipped to work with these tools. And then on kind of that third category is, I actually build custom models for teams to help them kind of bring in their tone, their voice, their style, their workflows, their practice, like all of those things into individual models that they can use to truly kind of supercharge their work and improve their impact.
Love it. And I'm assuming you're platform agnostic at this point, right? Whether it's Claude or ChatGPT or Google, whichever tool is best for the task, or do you still kind of, I mean, I know Google is making massive innovations right now. I'm
Mhm.
just curious what your take is on that.
No, I am all over them. I'm currently working with one company on a 6-week project, all on Microsoft Copilot, because they're a big Copilot shop.
Yep.
Same thing with Google and Gemini and working within those tools. And then there are the companies that aren't either, so to speak.
Right.
And they have the ability to choose what's right for what they're specifically trying to do. So my training sessions definitely range the gamut of all of them. I have large reasons why I love some, hate the others, which
Right.
I
They
will
all
keep to
have, yeah,
myself.
they all have their benefits for sure. So,
Yeah.
okay. So for the marketers that are listening, or other people that are in business world, um, let's address this question, right? Why should marketers have teams of AI? I don't know what the right phrase is, but why
I
should they
call them
have,
specialists,
yeah,
like the
why should they
specialists.
have AI, um, uh, yeah, personas, bots, specialists, whatever the phrase is, right? But why should they have AI, quote unquote, employees when it comes to content? Let's address kind of what the upside is and what's possible if this is done right.
The reason I love this concept of an AI content team or AI specialist or whatever you want to call it is that the way these models work is that you can train them to do one thing and that one thing really well. You can train them to learn about style, tone, voice. You can get them to learn about what does well and what doesn't. And it's just such a great way to use this technology to truly supplement and enhance what we as humans can do by ourselves. And so when you can create this AI team, and when I talk about an AI content team, like let's get really specific on what I mean here. I mean, you have an AI specialist that helps you with your blogs. You have an AI specialist that helps you with your LinkedIn posts. You have an AI specialist that helps you with your Twitter/X posts. Notice I'm not saying you have a writer, because when you have a content writer, the way you speak across those channels differs dramatically based on that channel. And so that ability for AI to learn a tone, style, and voice and the type of content that gets posted across those different channels is just right for creating these individual specialists that can help you across all of the different areas that a content team needs.
What I find really fascinating about this, especially for the smaller businesses that are listening, most of them would never hire a specialist just to write LinkedIn posts or just to write X posts or just to create an article, right? I mean, they might hire a contractor to do this, but this is the equivalent of having, if I hear you correctly, very inexpensive, very high quality staff member who's always going to be positive, always is it always is going to be consistent, generally speaking, right?
Mhm.
And can produce really high quality output for very low cost. Is that true?
That's absolutely true. And I would say it kind of can go above and beyond that because, to your point of hiring somebody, we hire writers who can do kind of one thing well, and we hire social folks who can do social well. But imagine having the data down to a particular post that do a that outperform everything else.
Mhm.
And being able to do that on the blog and being able to do that and just do data analysis that really no individual can do at a level of scale that we're talking about. And being able to train each of those specialists to just outperform in their respective areas. So you truly have the best in class of folks that can help you across all of these things. And, my goal when I talk about specialists is I want them to get you to 80%. They might get you slightly more, but if they can get you to 80%, and so you as the human can review that content, make sure it fits your style and your message and all of the things that you want to make, you will do to make it great. Um, that to me is a success.
Oh, and I really love this because what I'm hearing you say is, hey, you could have a full-time content person that works inside your company, and their job will be to take it the last 20%, right? Or the last mile or
Mhm.
whatever, right to completion. And they'll be getting stuff that's pretty close to good, and they're going to take it from good to great. And
Mhm.
that's where you can have now all of a sudden somebody in-house. Maybe it's half their job, maybe it's all their job, depending on the amount of content you produce. But that's kind of exciting. Or that even
They're
could be,
managing their team of specialists.
yeah,
Like they have to be a leader. They have to be able to be clear about what they want across all of these pieces of content. I mean, they have to lead their team just
love it.
like you would if you have individuals. But now, their role, their job, their goals, their outcomes should be based on posting amazing content. Like don't wrap your role in how much you wrote today. That
Right.
like take that out of what your objectives are. Your objectives are creating incredible content that your customers want to read. And so at that point, it doesn't matter how it's created, so to speak, but they have to make sure what gets posted is fantastic.
Oh,
And so just
I
having
love it.
those skills.
So let's assume that we all want to hire a virtual team of AI team, whatever we call it, of AI specialists,
Mhm.
AI content specialists. What are the things that we need to be processing or thinking about before we do anything else?
I think you have to think about content you're looking for. And I kind of think about this as like, what are the roles you want to hire for?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What are the different types of content that is responsible under this one leader? Is it blogs? Is it thought leadership? Is it email nurture programs? Is it bylines? Like whatever you're either hiring for, or probably better put, what are the individual micro tasks that each person would do? That's how I would start, because the more granular you can get with who you want to hire, that is how granular you can get with the specialists that you train. And, just I want to put this into a bit of color. Let's just take social as an example, because the type of content that a person would post on LinkedIn is very different than the type of post they would do on Twitter, X,
Yeah.
or on Facebook. Like
Right.
they're different. Typically the audience is different, but even if it's not, there are character differences, there's stylistic differences. Someone who's you don't want to train a model to do both. Train them to be amazing in the channel that they're posting to. So this is why I talk about that micro task. So break up you have the roles you want to hire, the tasks they're going to do, and get those into those micro tasks. And those are the examples, or those are the types of specialists you can create when you can get that specific. And you can even kind of take that level of granularity, that specificity, that specialist, and give them their own knowledge, And so now not only are all of these specialists trained to do one thing well, but they're trained with a set of knowledge that is unique to the channel in which they're posting on.
Okay, I love this, and I want to break down these micro tasks a little bit more, because maybe hypothetically someone listening has never done this before. Maybe they don't know what actually micro tasks might be. Like, let's just take hypothetically LinkedIn. Okay, so let's talk about LinkedIn. If we were to build this quote unquote job description, as we're going to call it, or this role, how do we discern what those micro tasks are if we've never actually processed this before? Like, can AI help us with this, or do we need to like reverse engineer some existing stuff? Like, how do we know what to put in these micro tasks? That's the part and by the way, I write on LinkedIn all the time. I've just never thought about it in micro tasks.
In micro tasks.
Yeah.
I mean, just so you know, I have 100 specialists of my micro tasks. So
wow,
I break things into the micro, because you can train them really well. What I would say, if you're just starting, you can start big. And by big, I still mean just LinkedIn. I don't mean social. But like what you can, if you're thinking about kind of just getting started, LinkedIn is your platform. Think through or look through the most recent LinkedIn post you've done.
Okay.
What is the tone? And you can ask AI, copy them all in there and say, what is the tone, style, and voice that you see in these posts? And write this up as a style guide for me. I mean, you can start as simple as there. You can then take it a step further and go through your analytics and figure out what social posts have done the best. Maybe just pull those together and ask it to analyze it. Maybe then do the same thing for your worst performing social posts.
Oh, okay.
Which ones have performed badly, and have it analyze this. So you can start to slowly, well, at first you might just have the generic replicate this voice, style, and tone, but then you can start adding more information around like the what works well and what doesn't work well. Things that as you start adding more and more components to, you can start getting, go back to the really micro. So for example, when I am thinking about posting on LinkedIn and I want to post it based on an article that either I've written or I've seen that's very interesting, I might have a different micro task that says, read this article. What are the 3 most controversial things in it? And then use those to be the topic starters for the individual posts. And so now you've gone from creating LinkedIn posts that are based on tone, style, and voice, as well as kind of content that performs well and content that doesn't perform well, to creating specialists that help you decide what you actually post there. based on another type of specialist that you train. So you can see, like, as you start to use them, you're going to realize these small things that you do that you might not have even thought were things, but you realize are, and you can start to create kind of additional specialists to help you with those tasks.
I love this. I was telling you before we hit start that I just got back from social media marketing world. And if I start to think about all the things one can do when they're posting content on LinkedIn, there's a lot.
Mhm.
You could actually, like you said, you could talk about some news that you're excited about. So, for example, in the AI world, there's a lot of people that when new features come out, they do little videos about the features as a post on LinkedIn, and that can be written and or video, right? Or if there's a controversial take that someone has, maybe saying AI is a threat, you could use AI to identify and have a counter take to it or an
Mhm.
agreement take to it, right? Or if you just want to kind of journey your like I do, I write about all the things I'm working on related to the conference. That's another kind of post where it's storytelling, right?
Yep.
So there's so many different kinds of content. And what I love about what you're saying is you could have an AI specialist that's just helping you discern angles to take
Mhm.
on a controversial article, or another one to help you come up with talking points that you might do in a video. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. So when we're identifying these micro tasks, that's where we have to kind of reverse engineer the way we
Correct.
normally create content.
Mhm.
And is the idea here that we're going to just document all this in the beginning and it's all going to be fodder for creating unique roles? Is that kind of where we're going with this?
I think we might get there. I see it right now is the opposite. We kind of build for the broad and we get narrow. And so,
Uh,
yes, maybe once you've done this for LinkedIn and you've realized your one little LinkedIn specialist has now become 10, making up a number depending on the situation.
right.
Maybe you've documented that. And so the next time you go create like a blog specialist or an email campaign or event email, what have you, you have all of these ideas there that you can build that out from the start. Um, but yes, I mean, I will literally sit down and think through every step. And I miss steps, don't get me wrong, but I'll think through the steps so that those are the ones that I am creating. And oftentimes I'll be using one of my specialists and realize that I asked the same question or had it do something. And it's like the third time I've asked it to do that after using them. I'm like, that needs to be a specialist. Like the fact that I'm always asking it to do X,
I love
I
that.
should make X its own thing.
I love that.
And it's just one of the great benefits of using AI and specifically GPTs to do this.
Perfect. And that's a great transition to my next question. So, at this point in the process, we have sat down, we've identified some AI roles, for lack of better words, and the
Mhm.
tasks that are typically performed by that kind of AI, that person, that role.
Yep.
And maybe we started with just a few things, but over time we get more granular. But let's say we've identified three different roles that we want to create. Okay. So the next step is to build something, and you kind of hinted at it a little bit. So
Mhm.
what do we do with that information once we've identified these roles and tasks?
So this is where you go build. You actually go build that specialists. There are a bunch of tools that offer the capabilities to build these. So ChatGPT has their GPTs, Google has their gems, Copilot has their agents, Poe has their bots. All of these are that idea of codifying a set of knowledge, a set of instructions into a bot specialist, whatever you want to call it, to repeatably do something. Personally, I like ChatGPTs. And the reason I like GPT specifically
And you're
is
talking about custom GPTs, right? Is
I
that what?
am, I'm
Yep.
talking about GPT specifically.
Yep.
And the reason being is unlike some of the other tools, Copilot agents do this as well. You can ask a question. You can ask it to do something. So, maybe let's go back to my example. I have an article and I want my controversial GPT to come in and pick some of the three most controversial statements in it. And maybe it provides me three points of view to have on it as an option. Once I have that and it provides that output, I can simply call in by using the @ symbol, the next GPT. And so start imagining this at scale, being able to ask a question with one GPT, that @ symbol, call in the next one that does the next step, next step, next step. So, I mean, this is where you start getting into automation. So, this is not, I'm sorry, agents. This is not full automation because you are having to call each agent. But at that point, you're getting to a place where you can call 10 different specialists into a conversation in less than a minute. And you get this entire workflow done point by point in a way that you've wanted it to, you've trained it to behave, and you have a result that I would argue is 80, 90% there, but 500% better than what you would have gotten had you just asked the AI to write a LinkedIn post on X.
So and I've not done this before, but my understanding is that when you create custom GPTs, I'm assuming I've done one custom GPT, but I've never tagged it. When you put the @ sign in there, is it pulling up the name of the GPT based
Correct.
on how you named it? Okay. So you've got a thread open in ChatGPT, right?
Correct.
And the idea is that you put the tag in there and then you put the text in there, and somehow it knows to use that custom GPT to do the action. But then in that same thread, the answer can be brought into the next GPT.
It's the next one. Yes.
Got it. So this is the magic of, it's almost like you're assigning manually tasks to the different GPTs, but it is all the prior context all like transferred to each GPT.
It is.
That's magical.
Absolutely incredible. And while I name them all, and I always try to give them I tell them kind of what their job is and all of that as their name. But I was actually watching a webinar. This is what actually gave me the idea that a little over a year ago, and it was someone in media. In a movie production studio. And he had told me his process and he was explaining it on the webinar. And he just named them step 1, step 2, step 3.
Oh, really? Okay. That makes it easy.
Because he did the same exact steps every single day. And so he would literally wake up in the morning, go onto his computer, step 1, and just call them individually, one by one, to work his workflow. Now, for those of us who do a lot of different things, that probably won't work as cleanly, but it's the same idea. I have the, Natalie outliner versus the Natalie first draft versus the Natalie, final draft versus the copy editor, like each of these in turn being called to help me get to that final result.
Okay, so for heavy ChatGPT users like me, and I'm sure you, Natalie, there's a lot of different models that you can pick from, right? You've got, as of today, you've got 4.5, you've got all these different 0.1, 0 whatever. So does it matter which of these models we're using when we're pulling in these custom GPTs? What's your thoughts on that?
You don't get a say, I guess, is my better point.
Oh, I see. So basically, GPTs, it's going to use whatever that's a good point.
I think right now it's 4.0.
Got it. So it doesn't matter what thread you're in. It's going to default to whatever the standard is.
It's going to go to what the default, your GPT has been programmed in.
Okay. That's really important for people to understand. And what about integrating, that's perfect. That's really good to know. Okay, so that makes sense. You're right. I had forgotten that. So once you create a custom GPT, it's just going to go with whatever the default is. Right now it's 4.0. It's probably going to be 4.5 by the time this comes out. Who knows, right? But it's constantly changing. Okay,
so one of the interesting things is to your point though about being able to mix match. Like imagine you've done something with deep research.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is its own model. You've asked some questions. You've built out a research report. It, creates this 20-page thing.
Right.
You could then create a GPT that is designed to read through that.
Okay.
And find the things that are most interesting to you based on you've trained it on what you want. So now you went from a deep research model to you're still leveraging the model that the GPT is based on, but it can exist within that thread.
Love it. Okay, so when we're creating custom GPTs, let's talk about, these we're going to call them content specialists, right? When we're creating these content specialists, which are custom GPTs in this example, let's talk about like some tips on how to increase the likelihood you get from it what you're hoping, right? Because obviously, the my understanding is the more you give it, the greater likelihood you're going to get something good out of it. Is that, I mean, as far as like what we're about to
Yeah,
talk about?
I think that's totally fair. So one of the things that I'll do for when I am doing a kind of style, tone, and voice,
Mhm.
I will say I will generally upload maybe 10 different blogs that I've written
Okay.
or 10 different LinkedIn posts. Bucket the content by channel, by the specialist you want to create. So don't put like LinkedIn posts together with emails, together with blogs if you're trying to create a blog, because
How
your
are you
style,
uploading those as a PDF or something?
well, you can do Google Doc, Microsoft
Okay.
Word,
Oh,
PDF, it
okay.
doesn't matter. So I
Okay.
just go in, I open a Google Doc for me, and I'll just write blog one, paste, blog two, paste, blog three. So they're separated by headers. So
Mm-hmm.
it knows where the delineation is. And then upload them. You can literally through ChatGPT add content or directly integrate it with OneDrive or Google Drive and just select that document. And I'll literally say to it, like, you are a writing analyzer or blog analyzer or, whatever content it is. And your job is to analyze the style, tone, and voice.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see stylistically? How are sentences? Kind of what is the kind of overall feeling people get? Like I'll ask a bunch of questions
Mm-hmm.
that try to dig out what how that writing is perceived and how it's written. I will also say, do not make a note of the content of the topics, because I don't care about the topics. I'm trying to create a style.
Okay, that's good.
And
So you tell
um,
it to ignore the topics. Okay.
ignore the topics and yeah, ignore that, but really analyze and write up a style guide of what you find in this.
Now, real
Um,
quick question: are we doing this in the custom GPT, or are we doing this in a regular Chat GPT thread at
Regular
this
chat
point?
GPT.
Okay, good. Keep going.
And so I write that in regular chat GPT, have it kind of go through, and it will write a style guide. And that's when I'll come in over the top and be either, I disagree with this, please change this, or please add this. Things that really matter to me are from a stylistic standpoint, like I like the Oxford comma, I like sentence case.
You could take this
Sometimes
into a Google Doc and add that context, I would imagine, if
you
you
could
wanted to, right?
totally do that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're having it write up this style guide on
Perfect.
everything it finds. Once you're happy with it, I just literally copy it. And that's where I go to the, top right corner. My GPTs create a chat GPT and I'll name it Natalie's blog assistant, LinkedIn assistant, whatever your content type that you had it analyze. And just say, like, you are a writing assistant for blogs, for what have you. Here is how you should write all content when asked. And I would just paste those instructions in there. And then you save it. And then it becomes something that when you're going back to that example where we, had some piece of content that we want to turn into a LinkedIn post, it has the content. But now when it's writing it, it is going to follow those style guidelines and it's going to follow the writing guidelines that were put together in the guide. And so it really that's how you get from kind of the more generic content to having it write something that is more personalized to what you're looking for.
What I like a lot about this approach is it seems as if you are using ChatGPT standard, and at this point, I guess, are you using the reasoning models at this point, or does it
No,
really matter? It doesn't
no,
matter. Okay,
no.
but you're giving it examples of your best work, and presumably also giving it examples of work you do not like, because we talked about that earlier. Or you're not doing that at this point.
In this case, I'm not,
Okay,
because this where I'm doing a style guide.
right.
In this particular case, I want it to
Focus on just the
focus
style.
on the good and things like that. I'll put more of the examples of things that I don't like in the kind of more granular. Maybe it's a reviewer of a Twitter post. Like make it like this, not like this. And those are the instructions. Like those can be in some of the final checks, or it's all going to be personal preference at the end of the day and how it works for you. But my style guide is strictly do's.
Now, when we were prepping, you had a tip about not attaching examples into custom GPTs,
Yes.
and tell us a little bit about like the pros and cons of that.
Yes. So when I first started playing around and building GPTs, and for anybody who has, you'll see that idea of adding a knowledge base. And for me, I was like, oh, I can add the knowledge base of all these blogs I've written in the past and tell it to reference them when finding my style. And that worked well for maybe a month and a half. The problem with it came as the market shifted. So a really kind of ridiculous example, but was so powerful in me noticing this problem was at some point, Google changed Google Bard to Gemini. So it was a name change. Unfortunately, all of my knowledge base articles, because they were written prior to that name change, all referenced Google Bard for the technology. And so every time it would write something for me, it would always talk about Google Bard. And I couldn't understand why, even though I would write Gemini or I'd given an article about Gemini and I'd want to have it refer to that, it would always go back to Google Bard. And so it was kind of that. And then a couple other examples that were very similar that made me realize I really have to abstract the content from the instructions. And that's where I really started focusing on building that comprehensive guide. And, I made it somewhat simple for the sake of this conversation around just like the style, tone, and voice. But I
Mhm.
mean, my prompt to get a style is like 2 pages of the things to look for. So that when it builds this style guide, and that's a 2 or 3 page guide of how to write like Natalie, so that it genuinely comes off the way I want to. Is it going to be perfect? No, but 80%, yes.
Interesting. So when we are creating custom GPTs, if we've previously done this and we've attached the knowledge base data, what I'm hearing you say is it's going to try to stringently follow the data that's in the knowledge base. And if you go back into that knowledge base, is it kind of difficult to edit that data or update that data? I mean, you don't really see it, so you don't even
Well,
know where it is,
you
right?
can't per se. I mean,
Oh,
the way it is a snapshot in time when you
oh,
have
I
a knowledge
see.
base.
So you almost have to
So
copy it and start again or
you
whatever
would
to
start
generate.
again, or you'd
Yeah.
upload a new one.
Oh, that's
But I'll tell you,
interesting.
like, where knowledge bases are really good is, let's say you're a product marketer and you're getting ready to do a product launch, and that launch is going to basically be the product for the next year.
Hmm.
Putting all of the messaging for that product, if this GPT's job is to write product content, knowing how to stay on message and the positioning of the product is a very fair knowledge base to upload because you do want it referencing that all the time. It's just things that change. And yes, I mean, arguably product information could change too, but that's probably used enough for at least 6 months or so that you would just switch out the knowledge base when there's a product update to make sure that that knowledge always stays fresh.
Love it. Okay, so at this point, if we've been following everything we've been learning from you, we have created a bunch of custom GPTs that are essentially these content specialists doing all these various tasks. And ideally, we're creating a thread in ChatGPT and we're bringing them into the conversation. We're moving it down the pipeline of the things that we need to do. Let's now talk about like next leveling this with personas.
Yeah.
Interactive personas, I think, is really what we're talking about here, right? So talk to me
This
about
is
this.
where I believe everything I've talked about, a great marketer can do. It might take a while, no doubt. But if you are skilled in your channels and you know your content, you can do everything we've just talked about. AI will help you do it faster, but you can do all that. When you start to layer on personas, I genuinely believe this is where everything gets better. And the reason is that today, the number of content folks out there, I was definitely one of them many times. You write a white paper, you write a blog, you write something, and leadership will come in and say, well, have you shared this with a customer? What do they think? It is not that easy to have customers like, do you want to review this blog? Do you want to review this white paper? And the number of times it's like, well, go build a customer advisory board for content. Great idea. If you have the time and the resources, like, power to you. The reality is the vast majority of marketing organizations do not have the time, the resources to pull together that type of program. And so let's do it then, but let's do it kind of through AI. So this is where you can start to build out personas that to some extent mirror your audience. I think Perplexity is a great tool here. Google Deep Research is a really good tool. So is ChatGPT Deep Research. But this is where you can go ask AI to say, build me a persona of, let's take me. I sell to marketing leaders. I go talk to marketing leaders to convince them that they really need to be upskilling their teams with AI. So build me a persona of a marketing leader. And I'll probably start that generic. And all of the tools do it. It's hilarious. They will actually like meet Jane, not whatever, like they name them and they build out a persona. They'll typically include like how much schooling, where they might have gone to school, what size company they work for. And it will build that all out. It will say, in my prompt, I'll also say things like, what keeps them up at night? What are their goals? What are their aspirations? Like, and have it build each of those out by section. And you can, let's say it builds me a persona of like all retail. This person works at a retail company. I can edit it and say, no, can you make this more focused on B2B? Like, get that persona right. Have the conversation back and forth to build a persona that feels right to you. When I started doing this initially, it didn't always put in commentary about AI. So I would literally ask, what does this marketing leader feel about AI? And it would then start to answer questions around, want to include it. They're being pressured to do it. They don't know how to use their tune. They're worried about job security, all of those things. So get it, follow up, ask questions, get it to a point where you feel comfortable. And then I'll typically say, can you just summarize this into one clean persona document? Once it does that for me, I copy and paste it. And this is where we go back to creating a GPT. Go back to create a GPT, and I'll name this persona. So my persona's name is Genevieve, Gen Edge. I don't know. I thought it was fun. And so Genevieve is my marketing leader. And so I name her Genevieve, and it says my marketing leader persona. And I will, in the description, just say, you are a marketing leader that follows this guidance. And I just paste that in, and you hit save.
Real quick on this. So when we're prepping the persona, there's a really good chance a lot of people in my audience already have some sense of who their ideal customer is, right? Mm-hmm. So are we just giving AI like a little bit of guidance? For example, I know for me, for social media marketing world, my average customer is likely a woman, 35 years and over, who works at a small business in likely a marketing role, who has X number of years, maybe a decade's experience with marketing and is relatively new to AI. Would I like give that to that?
Sure.
And then would it make it more enhanced? Is that the idea? Okay.
Yes. And that's when you can add the what keeps you up at night? What are your goals? What's the water cooler talk? Where do you go to learn information? I mean,
so the AI will just make it up kind of based on what it knows about someone, given what little it's given you?
It will make it up based on whatever piece of information. So the more, it'll be more specific. As just an interesting aside, I have done this exercise in many of my trainings. And one of the trainings that was most interesting, it was in the public sector. And it was a big training that include kind of marketers within a big public company, but also their agencies. And a lot of the agencies they employed had people who used to be in these public sector jobs, and to really help make that content more relevant. And so we did this exercise of building personas. And I just sat there and watched some of these folks go, this literally reads like my resume. Like this was the role that I did in my background when I came in. So it is amazing at how close they can get. But yes, in short, based on whatever information it will give, it'll make it more robust. And that is what you can use to.
And are we using the deep research to kind of make it more robust when we ask it to do it? Like, how you have that little option, mm-hmm. or does the AI smart enough, it doesn't even need the deep research to kind of come up with that more descriptive persona?
I would use the more detailed one personally.
The deep research?
I have had, with deep research, I will tell you, Perplexity here is my preferred tool. I think that the deep research capabilities in ChatGPT and in Google Gemini are fantastic for doing genuine, when I want 20 pages of market research on a topic or to go look at competitors across all of these different spaces. Perplexity it just has a perfect level of information that it
It's
can
just
provide.
concise, huh?
It's
Okay.
just, it's concise but complete.
I love it.
I don't need a 40 page. Maybe if you're doing something really specific, you care about that. And in which case, use the 40 page, upload that as knowledge. But I find the perplexity length is just always on target.
So we take this output that we feel is really accurate description of this persona. We're creating a custom GPT with this, and we're telling it to act as if it is this person.
Yes.
Then how do we connect that? How do we connect that with the other tasks, maybe to make the magic sauce stuff happen?
So then what you do is, remember, we got here because we said, okay, now our content is complete. And I said, this is what a good marketer can do. AI can do it faster. So now that last piece of text is your blog, is your social post, is your email, whatever it is. And now, just like we called in different specialists on the content side, we can now call in our persona specialist. So I can call in Genevieve and say, please review this blog, social post, email, what have you, and tell me what you don't agree with. Tell me with what's confusing. Tell me, where you'd want to learn more information. Like, ask all those questions. And I'll always kind of end with you're not going to hurt my feelings, be harsh. Like, tell me, be honest, because I do find AI wants to make you happy.
Right.
And so it'll then go through and tell you what it likes and the areas that aren't clear or, disagree with all of those things that I said. And I find I tend to take about 70%, not 100, but it will find like acronyms I didn't explain. It'll say like, this would be a lot stronger if you had an example because it's not clear. It'll say things like, you're using, it's a little, I want to say jargon, but I don't mean that in the traditional sense. Like, you're using words
too
that
much of it
simplified. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it will go through and tell you all that. And then one of my favorite questions that I always ask it to do is, what do you wish you knew more after reading this? And let's say it gives you 3 or 5 ideas. Those are your next blog post ideas or a LinkedIn post idea, whatever. Like, let it help you create that what's next content too, because it has read it and can provide feedback on kind of what it wants to learn more about.
Do you go back to your AI team, if you will, and ask them to make the fixes based on the feedback you get from the persona, or do you tend to do that yourself?
1,000,000%.
Okay,
I'll
cool.
tend to say though, like a lot of times I'll say like, let's go through this one by one. Yeah. And I will at the end say like, I like 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, like do those. Because I do not take it all. Sometimes.
Oh, I love that. And then it sounds like you could go back to your persona again and say, what do you think now? I mean, if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
So this is like this is a process.
To that end though, it's really crazy is, I have built a lot of content going through this process many times. And I was actually doing a training session and it was one of the ones where it's probably the 15th time I've done it. And I'm constantly kind of growing it on ones that have already been done by the persona. And I'm in this training and it was basically like, this document's great. Here's one piece of feedback. And I had to tell people, I promise it usually gives a lot more feedback. It has just provided feedback like 15 times. I think it's kind of perfect now, but yes, it'll constantly kind of get better and better and provide more and more and help get you in the right direction.
Natalie, this has been absolutely amazing. If people want to connect with you on the socials, where do you want to send them? And if they want to learn more about your business, where do you want to send them?
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, find me on LinkedIn. I'm sure Michael will post my profile there. I offer a newsletter there. So please, don't hesitate to take a look there. genedge.co is my website. And I also offer a Maven course that is focused on building your AI team. So I'd love to see you on any one of those places.
Natalie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.